Good evening and welcome to round 5 of the Formula Regional Americas iRacing Invitational Championship. My name's John Phippen. Along with me in the commentary booth is Austin Knight. Say hello, Mr. Austin.
Hey, howdy. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great, Austin. And Marco Barbonera, the man behind the curtain, who is doing all of these beautiful camera shots that we're seeing from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Bowmanville, Ontario. It's a balmy 80 degrees up in Bowmanville tonight, and we've got a 2.43 mile track, one of the great heroic original road courses left in North America, basically untouched from when it was carved out of the wilderness back in the late 50s, and has had a storied career with Formula One racing there on multiple occasions. And Mosport is, as it was known for many, many years, is a driver's favorite for anybody who has ever driven there. And just coming into this fifth round of the championship, looking at the drivers who are eligible for the season-ending championship prizes, Dario Cangellosi is our points leader with 2 wins at COTA and VIR. He's got 74 points so far. Dakota Dickerson, on the strength of his win at the last round at Barber Motorsports Park. Dakota, by the way, is our reigning Formula Regional Americas champion. He's only 8 points back. Blake Upton is another 2 points behind him, only 10 out of the lead. Blake took the inaugural win at Road Atlanta in our first race. Jacob Abel right there in the hunt, although he is about 34 points behind Blake. So at the moment, with 3 rounds remaining, including the one we're contesting tonight, it's pretty much a 3-horse race at the top, as all 3 winners have kept themselves very much in the championship hunt. The winner at the end of the season wins a full set of Hankook Racing slicks for the racing series when it gets going for real in June down at Circuit of the Americas. The second place winner gets a 90-day trial with PitFit training. PitFit, one of our sponsors, keeping our drivers fit and ready for racing. And our third place winner will win an Olumagato watch, a bespoke watch for this Formula Regional Americas iRacing Invitational Championship. We're in qualifying mode for this round coming up right now. Darius Trinka, the Latvian driver who joined us for the first time last race meeting, is quickest at a 1:11.63. Benjamin Peterson, second quick. Benjamin from Copenhagen, Denmark, who finished second in the championship a year ago, a 1:11.95 for him, about 3/10 back. Quinlan Law up into third spot right now. Quinlan out of New Jersey in the number 22 car. Zachary Rivard, one of our guest drivers, in the number 29 is currently fourth. And Philippe Dennis, who has won one of these races already, although he is one of our guest drivers, currently 5th quickest. Dennis is always quick, so watch for him. Jacob Abel, one of our series regulars, is currently 6th. Dakota Dickerson, we've already mentioned, coming off a win at Barber Motorsports Park. Victor Anderson, one of 2 Swedish drivers in the field. Mateus Solero Bell in the 9th spot, and Dario Cangellosi, also a winner so far at COTA, is rounding out the top 10 as we are still got about half of this qualifying session left to go.
Yeah, 5 minutes into this qualifying session here at lovely Mosport, as I'm going to be calling it throughout the rest of the day because I can't say Canadian Tire Motorsports Park constantly very fast, even though I just did that. But 5 minutes down, and it's kind of been a pretty hectic throughout the midfield. A lot of drivers haven't set a lap time competitively because they're trying to dodge some cars that have been sideways as you were making your opening remarks.
30 cars so far have turned a time in this session, make that 31, as Josh Bethune bringing up the rear at the moment. But we still haven't heard from Hunter Yaney, Andrew Dobby, Mitchell Egner, Dominic Livernoy, or Hayden Bowlesby. They have yet to turn a time in this session, as we've got a spinner already as the 21 car has gone around. That's Bruno Carneiro. Bruno, one of our guest drivers out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's the 2016 F4 China champion, as well as racing in F3 Asia. We ride aboard with Bruno as he got the car rolling again, that gray number 21.
Lovely.
But Darius Trinka still at the top of the order with a 1:11.6. Nelson Mason now joins him in the top 2, as Mason in the 12 car only 17 hundredths of a second behind Darius Trinka. So a couple of our top drivers making their way. Nelson Mason took his first start with us last race weekend, and so he's coming up to speed very quickly here.
Oh, action in the back, but Zachary Rivard going a bit slower on his out lap and in a very stunning helmet, I must say.
It is true.
But I would say he's happy to be out there on track and currently happy to be in eighth place. Currently looking at Jacob Abel sitting in 11th as he flies through turn two, one of the hardest corners on this circuit and in the world. As he comes into turn three, good run through turn two can actually set you up for a great shot at overtaking through turn three. So you head up into turn four and up into Moss Corner, which is not named after Sterling Moss.
Scott Goodyear certainly in a position to know, as he grew up within a stone's throw of the track. And Scott gave our drivers, our series regular drivers, a driver's briefing in the half hour leading up to this event, as he has raced at this track many, many times. And so he gave the drivers just a few pointers of where they can go quick and where they can't. And according to Scott, the Moss naming of turn five is not after Sterling Moss, but after the original owners of the track, from which the name Motorsport Park or Mosport came to be. But it was renamed just maybe 5 years ago as Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Ron Fellows and his consortium now owning the facility, and it is a beautiful one indeed. As we follow with the 13 car of Jonathan Scarallo. Jonathan, a team owner in our F4 US and F3 Americas, or Formula Regional Americas Championship, and took the driving chores for the first time at the last race. Jonathan's doing well. He's 10th quick in this qualifying session. Scanning down the order, we now have 34 cars who have turned to time. Still waiting to hear from Dominic Livernoy and Mitch Egner. They are the only two who have not yet completed a timed lap.
It's surprising to see Dakota Dickerson sitting down in 21st place. He's been struggling around the track a lot as he's repping a quad squad livery.
Dario Cangelosi now moving up into contention, as he is now third quick, as Quinlan Lall has taken over the second spot. Quinlan just about a tenth of a second behind Darius Trinka. Simon Sykes also shows up on my timing screen, is up into the top two, as Sykes just clicked off a 1:11.67, only 0.04 of a second off Darius Trinka's provisional pole time, as we're counting down to the final 2 minutes of this very quick qualifying session to set the grid for the 30-minute race coming up right after.
Yeah, Trinka and Sykes getting a good run down the Andretti straight, heading into the final corners. Looking to be on a lap to maybe jump into pole, as qualifying has ran out of time here at Mosport. Simon Sykes does not get up into second, not get up into pole, and Trinka stays up there in pole at provisional pole, as the rest of the drivers are finishing their laps right now.
See the checkered flag waving from the flag stand, as Jonathan Scarallo, now the 21 car on camera of Bruno Carniero.
Becker is apparently on his out lap, so this is not going to count for him, but he's probably just getting some more feel for the track, some extra practice for him before the start of the race, as he's currently sitting in 34th.
Kent Vaccaro, one of our series regulars in the F4 US Championship. You can see in the upper right-hand corner, one of our new sponsors for this season, Olumagato Watches, is sponsoring this fifth round of the FR America's iRacing Invitational Championship. And as we mentioned earlier, providing one of the season-ending prizes for our top three drivers. As the last of the field looks like has come across the line, and it looks like 35 cars eventually turned to time. Only one driver, Mitch Egner, did not show up on our timing screen. So we'll have the running order here in just a moment. We'll get the qualifying order for you for the starting grid for this 30-minute timed race. Again, all of our races in the Formula Regional Series run in with a Formula One style standing start, 5 lights across the top of the order. Those lights extinguish at 1 second intervals and then go out after a random amount of time. But let's introduce the starting grid for you. In row 1, Simon Sykes did make it up into second spot, but Darius Trinka rounding out the pole position. Dario Cangalosi and Quinlan Law in row 2. Row 3 has Nelson Mason in his second start with us, and Linus Lundqvist. Ben Waddell, who won the first round at Road Atlanta, is alongside Benjamin Peterson in row 4. Row 5, Swede Victor Anderson and Bradley Sikorsky. He's a new driver to us here this weekend. Phil Dennis and Bruno Carniero in row number 6. Moving down the order, Jacob Abel and Jonathan Scarallo. Then Jordan Messick, who, by the way, leads our Saybelt Hard Charger Award so far, alongside Dakota Dickerson. Andrew Pinkerton and Zachary Rivard, followed by Mateus Solero Bell and Marco Kosick. Logan Cuson and Flynn Lazier, and in row 12, Jackson Lee and Josh Bethune. Blake Upton and Nico Ronde. That is the Nico Ronde, indeed. In the next row, Parker Locke and Megan Jilks in row number 14. 15 has Dominic Cicero and Andrew Dobby, Hunter Yaney and Dominic Livernoy, Elias Spezia, Hayden Bowlesby, Mitch Egner, and Kent Vaccaro round out the field, and we are away. And it looks like the 28 is going to take the lead. Darius Trinka swings it down to the inside, and he will take the lead going into turn 2 for the first time. But here comes Sykes on the inside, trying to make that pass. And right behind him, Quinlan Law in that green number 22. Most of the field made it through turn number 2 successfully. Austin?
Well, as you said that, there's already cars sideways, and it's turn number 3 that's the Graveyard Heroes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars into the wall on the outside of the track. Dennis, Sikorsky, Abel, Kusan, Egner, Vaccaro, and Spezia. Some of the cars as Dalby, Livernes, and Cesaro. The crashing is still going on through turn 4. And turn 5, we even got cars going backwards into the wall as it's chaos here at Mosport.
But Simon Sykes taking over the lead at the front, but he's coming under some pressure from Quinlan Law and Darius Trinka. Law now shuffled back into third spot. Sykes in that red number 6, and the turquoise and red two-tone job of Darius Trinka as they are side by side through the final turn onto the front straightaway to complete lap number 1. It is Trinka at the front, and that orange number 27 of Dario Cangalosi now up into third spot as he goes side by side with Quinlan Law, a pair of New Jersey natives. As Cangalosi trying to get that spot.
No. Cangalosi's around it. He's in the wall and he's lost a wheel. Cangalosi's out of this race.
And I think Law has got some damage. It looked like that right front that wheel took a pretty good shot, and Law is going to be dropping back as well.
Crazy amount of incidents at the start of this race. I would say 19 cars maybe got through that safely.
If that. Let's see. That's heading on back.
Oh.
But Darius Trinka maintains the lead as we get a replay of the spin there involving the 52 car of...
Well, luckily Dario's car, the iRacing gods were nice in his favor and gave his wheel back to him. But Trinka leading out Sykes and Mason, your top 3 here at Mosport.
That was Jackson Lee in that 52 car that we saw off track. But Trinka now, as we go back to the front, continues to lead. But here comes Benjamin Waddell. Benjamin making a big move up 3 spots from where he qualified. And now he is challenging Benjamin Peterson as they are duking it out for third and fourth spot. We ride with Waddell. That's Peterson up in front of him as they work their way through turn number 3, the Quebec corner. Now up under the bridge in the winding turn number 4 that leads up to the back-to-back corners, 5A and 5B, that is known as Moss corners.
Oh no, and Waddell gets tagged from behind.
Waddell spins it. He did maybe just touched the barrier, so it looks like he's going to be able to continue, but he falls back well into the order, back in behind Parker Locke, so he's running in 10th from third. As we get a good replay, he kept it off the wall, was able to lock it up in the grass there and maintain the problem with any damage. So Benjamin Waddell, already a winner this season, down 2 spots from where he qualified. Parker Locke, one of our biggest movers, as he's looking for the Seatbelt Hard Charger Award. He's got 19 places he's made up already. So Parker Locke, the Texan, looking strong, make that 20 as he's up to 8th position.
And that's Bruno Cornerio heading into the pits. He was the car that tagged around Waddell, and he's got some wing damage.
Yeah, you can see that rear wing flapping in the breeze. He's going to have to get that repaired. This is not a track where you don't want to have your downforce fully in place. Lots of high-speed sweeping corners here. As we go back to the front with Trinka and Sykes still battling for the top spot. They're separated by just over half a second. And then a little deeper back is Nelson Mason, only making his second start with us.
Yeah,
Mason Go ahead.
You're talking about the Hard Charger Award. Dakota Dickerson, he started so far down the field. He's up into 5th now. Up 10 spots from where he qualified, as Flynn Lazier and Dickerson going side by side with each other, going down the Andretti straight, heading into the final corners. Dickerson down onto the inside, Lazier around the outside. And Dickerson's going to hold him off for 5th place. Parker Locke behind Waddell.
Want to give a shout out to Flynn Lazier. His grandfather, Bob Lazier, succumbed to the coronavirus in this past week. So our thoughts with the Lazier family. Flynn's dad, Buddy, of course, Bob's son. So his grandfather no longer with us. But there's Parker Locke in that number 15 car. Parker up 20 spots, currently running in the 8th position.
Oh, Megan! In the air, and for the second race in a row, unfortunately, ends her race.
Megan Jilks, once again, the W Series driver, off course, and it looks like she got tangled up once again with Dario Cangelosi.
Yeah, Cangelosi is around the outside. They banged wheels. And she just came rising up in there. And Dario took a spin for the worst as well.
This battle between Parker Locke and Ben Waddell is a good one. That's back for 8th and 9th position. Locke with the position right now. Waddell just behind him.
Uh-oh. Dickerson's off. Dickerson just went into the pit lane.
So Dakota Dickerson with an issue. He had contact with somebody.
Oh, that's netcode.
Indeed.
Hard into the wall. Final corner. Lost a wheel. And the Quad Squad Mobile is in the pits.
Back with Flynn Lazier. And again, you can see Dickerson go away there on the outside as you were riding along with Flynn Lazier. Netcode, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, basically if a car disappears because of an issue with the internet speed or whatever, it can pop back into existence and take a driver by surprise. And I think that's what happened to Dakota Dickerson there.
It definitely.
Back to the front, Darius Trinka now stretching his advantage up to about 3/4 of a second over Simon Sykes. Nelson Mason hanging right in there, another half a second back in 3rd position. Benjamin Peterson, one of his better runs of the season so far, up into 4th. Flynn Lazier hanging on to 5th. Blake Upton up 20 spots now in 6th position. Ben Waddell, despite his off course, has recovered for a 7th spot at the moment. Victor Anderson, Dominic Cicero, and Nico Ronde up 15 spots. Dominic Cicero now leading the Seatbelt Hard Charger Award standings for this weekend, as he has picked up 21 spots from where he qualified. We ride with Ben Waddell in 7th spot. That's Blake Upton up ahead.
Waddell's getting a run.
Go ahead.
Final corners, and Upton just completely canceled all that out by taking a great defensive line through turn 1, and now he's starting to pull away that dirty air affecting Waddell, as now Anderson is starting to charge in on Ben.
making it a three-way battle. Anderson up into 8th position. That's up 2 from where he qualified in that number 20 car. We ride with Victor Anderson. And he's getting a good run down the Andretti straightaway as they head toward turn number 8.
Anderson in that dirty air of Waddell. And he's going to be following them and just waiting for the right opportunity. But Victor been just sitting in the top 10 from the start of this race. He's dodging most of these incidents, not charging as hard as Blake Upton is, who is up 20 spots, but Dominic Cesaro is up 21 spots.
A little further back, there's Josh Booty Bethune in the number 69 car, running in 16th position. Quinlan Law, if you'll remember, was up in the top 3, but had an early incident. He's trying to recover from that as he's up into 17th position right now. He may be still running with that damaged right front. We'll see if he elected to stay out there or if he made a call to the pits to try to get that repaired. He's been in the pits twice, so I'm guessing he has made affected repairs. Quinlan Law has gone a lap down, so it's going to be a tough uphill battle for him. Go back to the front now as Simon Sykes and Darius Trinka continue to battle. They've caught up with some of the lapped traffic, so they're going to have to work their way through these slower cars as Trinka goes around the outside of, I think that was Josh Bethune, who just went a lap down.
There was 2 cars actually right there. I believe one was coming out of the pits as well. So we're riding on board with Simon Sykes as this is starting to look more like an endurance race with all these lapped cars causing some traffic for the leaders, but they're parting ways. The blue flags are waving as Trinka and Sykes racing it down to Moss Corner.
You can see Trinka's car getting a little squirrely under the brakes there for 5A, so he is definitely pushing hard, trying to keep Simon Sykes behind him. Sykes looking racy here as he's going to tuck into the draft down the long Mario Andretti straightaway, and he's getting a good run on him. Pulls up to the outside. Trinka's going to guard the inside line down into the S's. But Sykes has a nose ahead. He may be able to swing across his bow. Trinka stays tight. Great overhead shots here, and Sykes gets it done.
What a move by Simon Sykes, getting into the lead here at Mosport. Have the lapped car ahead of him leave. He's going to stay wide through turn 1, and he is.
That 36 car staying out of harm's way, letting this battle continue.
That would be Hayden
Bowlesby. Simon Sykes now at the point, and he's beginning to walk away a bit from Darius Trinka. Opened up almost 3/4 of a second here. Trinka maybe getting bottled up behind that slower traffic, and now he's going to have to put his head down and see if he can repay the favor as these drivers working their way.
Yeah, Sykes was very determined to make that move, just sitting on the back of Trinka. And now Trinka in the position where Simon Sykes was. Is he going to be as patient enough as Simon when he was making his move here at Mosport? Trinka looking around the outside just like Sykes was, but not as close. And Sykes giving Trinka a whole whack to dirty airs. There's a car on the wall right in front of him, but it was out of the racing line. Shout out to all those wonderful track marshals out there. This was Mitchell Egner ahead of him. Hard into the wall.
Mitch was running 29th at the time of that incident. As we go back to this great battle at the front, as Sykes and Trinka are about 1.5 seconds out in front of Nelson Mason in 3rd, and then another 2.5 seconds back to Benjamin Peterson in 4th. Flynn Lazier about 2 seconds behind him, and then a pretty big gap of some 7 seconds back to Blake Upton running in the 6th spot. But once again, Trinka right there in a position to pounce as they work their way through 5B and onto the long back straightaway, which isn't really straight. It sort of curves its entire length. But Trinka a little closer, I think, than he was a lap ago. Let's see if he can pop to the outside coming into the S's.
Not close enough, and Simon opened up the inside just to try to invite Trinka into making a mistake right there. But both these guys running the same setup as everyone is. The same high downforce setup is used for everybody. So fixed setup series, making the racing even more close and more competitive here. So we're looking at a replay. This is Dominic Cesaro as he takes a big old slide through turn 5A and B.
Dominic Cicero, one of our regular drivers, he's a Masters competitor as he is over the age of 35.
Ooh, lovely move by Rivard with a switchback looking down the inside now, side by side with Rondette into turn 1. They clip wheels, but believe they're going to get them back. But Rivard's wheel is still not come back, but on his screen it might be there. For us though, it's hanging off backwards.
Nico Rondet in that 33 car up 15 spots from where he qualified. Zachary Rivard up 8 in the 29. As you can see, Rondet looking out the back, or excuse me, Rivard's car looking out the back at Rondet as they make their way through the Moss curves and onto the back straightaway. That's the 19 of Blake Upton and Ben Waddell going after it. Waddell looks like he has been able to make that pass.
It's actually Anderson.
Victor Anderson up in front of him. And so Upton in the 7th spot, Victor Anderson in the 20 car up in 6th.
It's a replay of Nico.
We go back to front. The lead battle with Sykes and Trinka. Nose to tail, working their way through turn number 1 down into turn 2 and 3. Climbing the hill toward the Moss corners. As Simon Sykes hangs on to a lead of about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Trinka's staying in that draft, but he's not close enough to even attempt to move. And Simon's not even defending that corner anymore in case Trinka is trying to launch an attack. He knows he's far enough away from Trinka that he doesn't have to worry about a dive heading into 8. But Trinka's right there waiting patiently for the end of this race, which is 15 minutes away. Can Trinka stay with Sykes throughout the rest of this race here at Mosport?
We're at half distance right now. We're at half distance right now. Mason has fallen about almost 2 seconds behind this great battle at the front. So Sykes and Trinka appear to have this one to settle between them. Tire wear is certainly always a factor as they're in this high downforce setting and they need to maintain their tires for the end of the race.
Track temperature at the start of the race was 106 degrees, so a little bit toasty out there. And it's actually moved up to 112 degrees now. So it's getting even hotter as the race started at noon in Sim.
As you can see, virtually no shadows as the sun directly overhead of these cars, so it's baking the asphalt. As this battle continues through the S's, sweeping into turn 8, now 9. And then the final turn on the racetrack onto the start-finish straightaway. Plunging downhill there through turn number 1 and then a slight uphill run up into 2. As we go a little further back to that battle between Matt Rivard and Nico Rondet. Zachary Rivard, excuse me, in the 29 car. Zachary currently 10th, Rondet in 9th. Rondet with the position right now, but Rivard trying to make up the distance. About 0.3 of a second, all that separates those two. And up ahead of them is a lapped car. That's the 11 of Ella Spezia, who is the 3rd car a lap down. Currently 17 cars remain on the lead lap.
Actually, there'll be 13 cars on the lead lap. The 17 cars, they're very close to being lapped again. But after that crazy start, it's not surprising me to have this many cars on the lead lap as, Spezia's out into the wall.
And just as that happened, we were seeing the lead battle go side by side as Trinka and Sykes are side by side as they work their way up the hill. Looks like Trinka may have the pass made, and he does. So Darius Trinka has retaken the lead from Simon Sykes. Trinka started on the pole and led the first 10 laps or so of this race, and then Sykes was able to draft by him on the Mario Andretti straightaway. Trinka has repaid the favor now and retaken the top spot, perhaps taking care of his tires just a little bit better.
Oh, that's Penguin Law.
Off once again. He's been able to stay on the lead lap, but barely, and that's going to take him a lap down, I think.
He's gone into the grass on the exit of turn 3, locked up the brakes, was able to save it, but on his recovery, he did smack the wall, but I don't believe that affected his car. But Trinka and Sykes now 1 and 2 here down the Andretti straight.
Into the S's they go through turn number 9, coming up into turn 10 and on to the start-finish straightaway. Trinka maintains the advantage. At the stripe, it's just about 0.4 of a second. Into turn number 2, one of the most daunting corners on any racetrack in the world. As they plunge down the hill and then back up the hill slightly through turn number 3. That sweeping right-hander called the Quebec corner. And then this long sweeping turn number 4, which leads them up to the 5A, 5B Moss corners. Sykes not going away quietly as he has recovered the ground that he lost on the last couple of laps, perhaps backing off, letting the tires cool just a bit. And that third car in the shot is not that far behind. Nelson Mason only a second behind these two, and on the last lap he was the quickest of the 3. Mason still lapping in the 111s as both Trinka and Sykes into the 12s.
Trinka just let the door open and Sykes took it. And Sykes back into the lead here at Mosport. And Nelson Mason, he is definitely in the fight for the lead as we now have a 3-way for the win here at Mosport with 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes remaining, and this is the battle we're watching as the top 3 are about 4 seconds in front of the 4th place runner, Benjamin Peterson, as we ride along with our 2nd place runner, Darius Trinka, from the pole. As he gives chase to Simon Sykes. Sykes has yet to win in the racing so far this season, but he had a 4th place finish at VIR. Came home in 6th spot at Barber Motorsports Park. Darius Trinka finished 2nd at Barber at the most recent racing round in his first outing with us.
But he's hunting that win, which everyone in this group is hunting for that first win in this series. Looking back on Simon Sykes at Trinka and Mason right behind.
Yeah, Mason is very much in the hunt here. He is only 0.8 of a second behind Trinka. The 3 of them separated by about 1.25 seconds. As you can hear, Simon Sykes feathering the throttle and that downhill run through turn 2.
Now Trinka's been a lot quicker than Sykes through this opening sector, and Sykes been a lot quicker in the ending sectors to show their 2 different driving styles. And Mason's just sitting back there patiently in case something happens.
Off the Moss corners and onto the back straightaway comes this 3-way battle for the top spot. That orange car in the distance is Benjamin Peterson, and Flynn Lazier not that far behind him in 5th. Blake Upton still the leader in the Seatbelt Hard Charger Award standings for this race meeting, as he is up 19 spots from where he qualified.
Trinka sends it up into the inside, and now Trinka back into the lead here at Mosport. 7 minutes left.
A real cat and mouse game being played out at the front here as Sykes and Trinka swapping the top spot on multiple occasions throughout the course of this race. And it looks to me that I'm thinking on the last lap, you want to be in second coming off the Moss corners, because drafting down that back straightaway seems to be the setup for the decisive pass.
It certainly is, and Simon was not putting up a fight. Trinka sending it down the inside. We saw him defending up onto the inside, but he might be planning for that with these closing laps. And now with Mason in there, Mason is probably in the best spot out of both these guys. He's just sitting back there, but he was within 7/10 of both Trinka and Sykes, as now Simon looking down to the inside. Trinka just ahead of him. Let's see if he defends going to turn 8. No, he's not. Here comes Sykes now. And Simon back into the lead.
Trinka gave him that inside line. Again, that may be just kind of a little bit of learning on his part to see what he can do and what he can get away with as we approach the closing stages of this race. 6 minutes remaining as they cross the stripe. And those two continue to swap positions. And while they're racing one another, Nelson Mason very quietly coming right into contention.
Little heart in the mouth over Nelson Mason. His back wheel actually got into the dirt, and he went a bit sideways as he's trying to keep up with both these guys. But Sykes, Trinka, Mason, you're battle for the lead here at Mosport for the FR America's iRacing Invitational Championship with just 5 minutes to go.
You ride with the pole sitter, Darius Trinka, coming off a second place finish in his first race with us at Barbara Motorsports Park. Tucks right into the slipstream of Simon Sykes. Sykes now deciding where he's going to defend. He leaves the inside open for turn 8, and that lets Trinka motor right on through. So again, they swap that top spot right there at the braking zone for turn number 8 on successive laps. Nelson Mason continues to stay within a second of the leader. Trinka did not get a good run through the final turn, however, and he has really let Sykes get right on his gearbox as they come down turn 1.
Simon is buried in there so close that you read all the sponsors on his nose from the mirrors of Trinka, and Nelson Mason is closing in on these two as well. As you can see, Mason is getting onto the gearbox of Simon Sykes now. He was a part of this fight.
These three separated by half a second as we are in the final 5 minutes of this race. Coming up on 4 minutes remaining. Any one of these three could take the top spot, or all three of them could crash together and turn the lead over to Benjamin Peterson, who's staying out of trouble at the moment, about 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Flynn Lazier also get onto the podium in case that does happen, which hopefully it does not, as Trinka, Sykes, and Mason all have to go around the lapped car.
That's Ella Spezia that they're working their way around.
As the lead does not change actually. Trinka and Sykes maintain position. Trinka left the door open for Simon, but Simon let off and didn't take it. And oh, Zachary Rivard off in the grass on the outside of Moss quarter.
But looks like he's able to get it back underway without making contact. We go back to this battle at the front as we're approaching 3 minutes left in this race. So we may see the white flag, if not this time by, the next lap by. And it looks like Mason has lost a little ground with that lapped traffic that he was having to work his way around.
Yeah, Mason is dropping down a lot. He might have some damage from something. I don't see anything wrong with his car. But he might have just lifted off and let these two guys race for it.
Yeah, there's Mason, and he is definitely falling back. He's now 2.5 seconds behind the lead. So definitely something askew with his car. So it's going to be a 2-car battle now in the closing stages. Side by side.
Lou's looking around the outside now. I'm trying to get Trinka to get a little bit active in the mirrors with 3 minutes to go. Well, coming up onto 2 minutes to go now. As Trinka and Sykes, I would say about 2 laps maybe left here at Mosport.
Lap times in the 112s for both of these drivers, so a couple laps remaining. As Simon Sykes definitely filling the mirrors of Darius Trinka. as they work their way through turn 3 and head up toward the Moss Corners. You can see Mason there now some 2 seconds behind this battle. Mason's last lap, a 13.4, his best lap, an 11.6. So definitely he has fallen off the pace in the closing stages here.
Somebody suggested out of fuel, but he's regaining pace now. So I think he was just lifting off and letting these two battle it out front and hoping for the best, which is a positive way of thinking, as Trinka and Sykes now defending down to the inside. Simon once again looking around the outside as Trinka is forced to defend onto the inside now.
Coming up on a minute left, it's going to be close as to whether we'll see the white flag this lap or whether they'll get one more. I see nothing from the starter, so it looks like we're going to get 2 more laps, perhaps.
I believe we might reach the last lap as it is, but it is white flag, as we know, judging by math. That
math? I like it. I like it. All right, this is the final opportunity for Simon Sykes to retake the lead, and my money is that he is right where he wants to be. That's in second spot as they come off the Moss Corners and onto that back straightaway.
Oh, Simon's getting so close to the braking zone. Here we go. We're going to have a draft battle down the Andretti straight. Who's going to be Trinka, your pole sitter, or Simon Sykes? Both these guys started on the front row. Both of them haven't won a race here in FR America's iRacing Invitational. Simon looking around the outside. It's going to be side-by-side drag racing style. Simon around the outside, Trinka defending onto the inside, and Simon's going to sneak it around there, but here they go. 2 more quarters. Now Trinka's around the outside. And now Trinka has the inside, Simon around the outside. Simon's off into the grass, and it's going to be Trinka taking the victory.
Sykes gave it everything he could as he was on the outside through turn number 8. That should have given him the inside line as Victor Anderson going side by side with Ben Waddell. This great battle, that's for 7th and 8th, as we'll keep that right here as they make their way onto the start-finish straightaway. And it looks like Waddell's going to come out in front as he'll take the spot over Victor Anderson. Excuse me, that was Blake Upton. Yeah, excuse me, that was Blake Upton and Victor Anderson, forgive me. Ben Waddell about 9 seconds up the road in 8th. Nico Ronde comes across in 9th.
And these guys are having a little bit fun after the race, but all the glory and champagne goes to Darius Trinka if he's old enough to drink.
Very much so. Yes, Darius is 30 years old, so I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. I think he can have an adult beverage or two. So great race right down to the last corner as Simon Sykes tried a brave move. Here's we get a replay of this final sequence. Coming into turn number 8, Sykes has a nose ahead. Now he should have the advantage here at turn number 9, but Trinka stuffs it in there and stays with him side by side. Sykes has to give him racing room and goes a little bit wide, drops a wheel off in the grass, and that's all she wrote. As Darius Trinka comes across the line, margin of victory, 44 hundredths of a second. On board with Sykes as we replay this one more time.
It was so close between these two. Simon had the advantage heading into this corner, but Trinka with all the speed, Simon saw that, and he just put everything he could, but it's just a little bit too much that his car can handle, and off into the grass. But what a close finish between these two guys around the final corner. Another classic Mosport race here. Out of any series, I can tell you, that is one of my favorite finishes I've ever covered at Mosport.
Exactly right. You couldn't ask for a better one. I only wish that Nelson Mason had been able to maintain touch with those because it would have been a good one. As Darius Trinka taking the win, his first win of the season. Then Simon Sykes coming home in second spot. Margin of victory, 46 hundredths of a second. Nelson Mason in only his second start with us in third spot. Benjamin Peterson comes home in fourth. Flynn Lazier in fifth spot. Blake Upton in sixth. Victor Anderson in seventh. Ben Waddell and Nico Ronde round out the top 10. Zachary Rivard and Dominic Cicero in 10th and 11th. The last car on the lead lap was Parker Locke in 12th position. And right behind him, Bradley Sikorsky making his first start with us. Jacob Abel, Dakota Dickerson, Quinlan Law, Andrew Pinkerton, Jackson Lee, Dario Cangalosi, and Phil Dennis are your top 20.
And they're followed up by Logan Kusan, Ellis Spezia, Jordan missing.
Josh Bethune, Bruno Carniero, Dominic Livernoy, Mateus Solero Bell, Mitch Egner, Megan Jilks, and Hayden Bowlesby in 30th position. Last couple spots, we've got Marco Kosick, Jonathan Scarallo, Linus Lindquist, Andrew Dobby, Hunter Yaney, and Ken Ficcaro bringing up the rear.
And that is your results for our round here at Mosport. And I do believe we have our winner here waiting for a interview.
Just waiting for Darius to make his way into the interview room, and we'll have a chat with him. You can see a replay of the start in the background. There's Darius Trinka. Darius, congratulations. Your first win on the season and in only your second race with us. Clearly, you must like Mosport because you started from the pole and led much of this race. But wow, what a great battle with Simon Sykes all race long.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. The track is super fast, and you can stay in the toes for so long, and so qualifying was the key this time. Was able to get a good lap in, and yeah, the race was super fun. Nelson and Simon raced super clean, and yeah, it basically came down to last lap, last corner, which is exciting.
Exactly. That's exactly the way we like to see them finish. I was wondering on that final lap, did you almost want to be in second spot? Because that seemed to be sort of the preferred place to be on the run out of Moss on the final lap because you're able to draft and take that pass.
Yeah, that's kind of what we played during the race. We kept switching spots. I think Nelson was catching us, so I think we played it smart, and it was either me or him that's going to be in the second place. And I decided to take a chance and do the last two laps in the lead, and having Simon behind me. And we did some practice runs earlier today, so I knew I could actually carry the outside line. Through the last second last corner and then into the last turn. So that was kind of the key.
Indeed. Well, congratulations, Darius, on your second podium in a row and only your second start with us. And hopefully we'll see you down in sunny Florida at Sebring a week from tonight.
See you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again. Darius Trinka taking his first win on the season, like I say, and only his second start with us, and his back-to-back podiums now. I'm going to put him climbing up the order, but Darius not one of our regular drivers, so he is not eligible for the season-ending points championship with the Hankook tires going to the winner. Simon Sykes joins us now in the interview room. Simon, what a fantastic battle with Darius back to back. I would have put my money on you as we came off of Moss on that final lap, being in second spot. I thought for sure you'd be able to draft by him, but you got close, but not quite close enough. Well done.
Yeah, honestly, I would have put my money on myself too, but that last corner just not enough grip there to make that move work. I think our biggest concern was making sure both of us finished the race. We had a really clean race all the way through, and we were taking care of each other. So the big thing was getting it to the finish line without taking each other out. And so that's why there was so much space we gave each other. And really credit to Darius, and a great race from Nelson in third. Really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, we enjoyed calling it for sure. In fact, Nelson, well, I'll be real curious to talk with him because he really got right up on your gearbox there with a couple laps to go and then had an incident of some kind and fell back. He still finished in third, but it sure looked like it was going to be a grandstand finish between the three of you.
He did, and I really did think it was going to be a three-way battle for the win, but it did come down, and it still was a good finish, but just slightly disappointed that I ran out of grip on that last corner.
Indeed, yeah, it was a great battle, just the way we like to see it. And congratulations, that's your first podium on the season. So good to have you. Good to talk to you in the post race ceremonies, and hopefully you'll be with us next weekend down at Sebring in sunny Florida for round number 6.
Thank you. I feel like my momentum's been building throughout the series.
For sure.
I had the pace of a couple other races, but mistakes kept me from challenging for the win. So this was my first real battle for the win, and I'm looking forward to more of it.
Good deal. Great job, Simon. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
And that's really.
And joining, Simon has decided to leave, and then we're trying to get Simon in there, and
Hopefully, we'll get our third place finisher, Nelson Mason, to join us in the interview room and chat with Nelson in only his second start with us. There's
Hey
Nelson.
guys, how's it going?
Congratulations, Nelson. Your first podium with us in only your second start. Tell us a little bit about that battle right at the end, man. You were in the thick of a three-way battle. What happened about 2 laps from the end?
That's kind of something I would like to know as well. I was trying to just hang back a little bit to not show all my pace. I felt I could run a little bit quicker, but I knew they would just draft right back up to me. So I was trying to just hang out in third and see what would happen. And about 3 laps to go or 2 laps to go, I suddenly lost power, and I wasn't able to get into top gear down the back straight, and I wasn't able to get into top gear out of 1 or out of 2 either. And it came back for the last lap, but it was a little bit strange. I was right in the thick of it, and I was like, okay, here we go. I finally got the draft, and then it all kind of cut out away from me.
Obviously, Mosport is a track that you know well and like because you were quick right out of the jump, starting in the top 5. So you've got quite a few laps here, I guess.
Actually, so all of my laps have been in Europe for the most part, and then in a bit in the States. My brother has a lap record here, and my father has a lap record here. So
Awesome.
I felt it was if I didn't finish on the podium, I would have been kicked out of the family.
Yes, with your hometown being Niagara Falls, Ontario, I can understand. Your home province.
My closest track, and I've been there. I mean, a million times. I grew up at Mosport while my father was racing SCCA and Canadian championships here, and but yeah, I've never actually been around the big track. I can say, or on the track. I've been inside, not outside.
Gotcha. Well, Nelson, congratulations on your first podium on the season. Are you going to be able to be with us next week down at Sebring?
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. This was an absolute blast. I know this car quite well, I guess, because this is the car I raced in Europe. But as we work on the budget and everything to be here in the American Championship, it's just a blast to run, and obviously everybody's super talented, so it makes it that much better.
Are you able to give us an announcement for your future with the FR America Series, or is that still a work in progress?
Well, a work in progress. I'm definitely trying. I have a few partners on board, but it's just trying to make the big jump for sure. That's there's still a little bit, and with everything kind of going on, it's making it, let's say, not easier, but
Sure.
I'm definitely hopeful.
All right, sounds great. Well, Nelson, good to talk to you, and best of luck next week down at Sebring.
All right, thank you, sir, and you guys have a good one, and great job as well.
You as well. Thank you. So that wraps up our coverage here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the track formerly known as Mosport. Austin, what a fantastic race we had.
Absolutely fantastic, all the way from start to finish with the 1, 2, and almost 3 battle of Darius Trinket, Simon Sykes, and Nelson Mason. Next week, we're heading to Sebring. It's going to be a even more crazy battle as always because it's got that long straight heading up into sunset, which is just going to be very impressive to see how these guys handle that. And then also something to get our fans involved. Track voting for the final round of the season has opened up. You can go vote for your track over on the FR America's Instagram. So if you have a track that's in North America or Central America that you want, put it up in there, and most track with the most votes at the end wins.
Indeed, that's our fans' choice round for the May 5th, the finale for the FR America's iRacing Invitational. Thanks again to our sponsors, Hankook Tires, of course, as well as PitFit and Olamagato Watches, and Saybelt, who challenges our Hard Charger Award. Looks like Blake Upton's going to take home the T-shirt for this weekend, and we'll see if that's going to move Blake up into the season-long championship standings. Jordan Messick, again, is our leader in the season-long Saybelt Hard Charger Award. So on behalf of Austin Knight, and thanks again to Marco Barbera for these great pictures, I've been John Phippen. We'll see you in 1 week's time as we bring you round number 6 of the FR America's iRacing Invitational Championship from Sebring. Until then, be safe, be well. Good night.